Hi everyone, welcome at Wavect. Today with a super special guest, Saul Tarazona, who's the CEO of eJet Aerospace. And they have been up for super crazy exciting stuff. And basically what they're doing is they have built a eVTOL, basically an electric vehicle. So, as a human being, you can get into that vehicle and fly from point A to point B, and it's just much cheaper, much more affordable, faster, and of course, better for the environment as well. So, as you can see, Ernesto is already super excited for this episode. So, let's get started.
Wavect, the web-free software company that understands what you want.
Hi, Saul. Great to have you here. Yeah, really curious about your journey and your company. So let me just start with the most basic question at all. Like, why did you actually start with your company and what is your superior motivation behind all of that?
Behind all that, we believe we can make aviation affordable for the masses. We can make aviation a routine thing for everybody, as it is to ride a car or ride a bicycle to move from point A to point B. That's what we believe we can do.
And why is it important for you personally, right? Because there are many things we can improve in the world. But why did you choose this?
Yeah, so there's many problems, of course, more important problems like water, food, shelter, of course. What we're able to give the world is a transportation solution, which can transport food, can transport people, can do medical evacuation, can be used on emergency situations, can be used to help people any circumstance that they needed the most. So we that's what we're able to do. Where we're very passionate about aviation. We love these machines. I am an aeronautical engineer. That's my background from that. That's what we want. We want to give the world a better way to move or to conquer Earth. We haven't conquered Earth even now. We're thinking about Mars. We're thinking about the moon again. But what about Earth? Let's move around Earth instead of using fossil fuels. We can do it so much better.
That's a really interesting perspective. Like, I'm just, assuming you're sitting there at some point in your life, you basically thought, okay, that's my background, and you might understand your industry well enough to see the opportunity to build something like that, so that this is actually possible from a technical, but also from a business perspective. Like, when was that tipping point when you said, let's do it, and who you're going to do it with?
Well, I'm not the inventor of the technology, but Francois Outburg is the inventor of the cold jet propulsion, and he is the one that discovered something new in the branch of physics, actually in fluid dynamic physics. What his invention was a technology that enables the aircraft to, it's a propulsion system. What is a propulsion system? It's an engine that is 100% electric and very, very high performance.
And how is it, how is it different to existing electric vehicles, for example?
Yeah, so very simple terms without getting into too deep into technicalities. What other electric aircraft manufacturers use is an electric motor and you attach a fixed pitch propeller. That's it in an open air. That has been proved for many years that is not the most efficient and effective way to create propulsion. So what Francois created is way more smarter than that. Using advanced fluid dynamics physics, create a ducted fan that is dual purpose, push and pull with variable pitch, with so many other features that nobody, not even NASA, Pratt& and Whitney, General Electric, Rolls-Royce, nobody has done before. So this is a brand new invention. This is unique. Only us got that propulsion system. Nobody else in the world so far.
Okay, that's very interesting. And Where are you at in your let's say journey? Because what in the research I've seen that you have tested the concept, it's proven, you have the licenses and all these things. But what's the roadmap for 2024?
2024. So yes, as you said, we already patented the technology in 2013. We went through all the process. We designed the propulsion system. We got what they call the CAT and the CAM, the 3D design and the way how to produce the parts for the propulsion system and a one aircraft. Because how good is an engine if I cannot use it in an aircraft? Yeah, we need a full solution. So people tend to say, "Oh, why don't you just focus on the propulsion system?" But why? Why do we need to focus on just selling an engine for somebody else to use it? What is the most important thing is the propulsion system. The aircraft is just something additional to that. Yeah, propulsion system is 75% of the aircraft, 25% is the aircraft. So why are we not gonna do? We are aeronautical engineers. We know how to do it. We have done it before. Why not? So the 2024 will be. We already started with government funding from U.S. government, which is for it's an investment on technology and research. SBIR is the name. That will help us get to contracts with very advanced things like U.S. Army, Ministry of the MOD, um, emergency services, etc. NASA including.
That's
That will
crazy.
be one part, which is the defense side and emergency services. The other side will be to produce the full size propulsion system, produce the full size aircraft, and get it through the certification process. That's what we need to do.
Let's go 5 years into the future or 10 years. What would be your best or ideal outcome? Like, what would you love to see your engine being used for, and what industry would you like to focus on?
Let's go with the civilian side. So we at that in 5 years, everybody should be able to ride one of these aircrafts to go to one place. Not only for the urban air mobility, because we can do that and way more. Our range is 562 kilometers, 349 miles. So it's pretty big. I mean, that's between cities, even a state flight in the US. So we at that point we should have a platform. Imagine like Uber, that you go pick up and say, oh, I want to go from this place to another place, and aircraft will go pick you up, take you there, or ride a route. For example, there's pretty usable routes like in New York. You can go Manhattan, LaGuardia, JF Kennedy, and so this triangle of the airports, or even Hamptons, or San Francisco, LA, day and night, Silicon Valley, LA, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Silicon Valley. These kind of routes that everybody want to take in a car that can do in a car, that they would rather do it in an aircraft that doesn't generate any carbon.
One thing, also I've read that obviously you can use existing helipads for land and start of your eVTOLs, but usually there's always this infrastructure problem, right? Whenever you're building a new vehicle or anything like that, just look at electric cars. Like, how do you already have a also I assume a concept plan, or how you actually ensure that these aircrafts are charged in a timely manner, how these are maintained, because I assume when you can just order them on a platform, or if you collaborate with Uber, or I don't know what the goals are, that, there's a lot of work around that. Like, what are your thoughts on all of this?
But number one, that is the simplest part. Let me tell you
Okay.
how this is not high tech. This is super low tech. All I need, let me tell you, all I need is the size of a tennis court in a secure area. I need a toilet for the passengers to arrive at some point, get some amenities, some sitting space, some living room kind of thing. We use that FBO in private aviation, but it's smaller. I don't need that huge size. It's not advanced. I need the size of a fridge to put many batteries on it. our batteries are hot swappable, so I don't need to wait for the aircraft to charge.
That's cool.
In 3 minutes, I change four batteries and we go to the next leg and the next leg. That's all I need. I mean, it's simple.
Um, what are that now brings me to a really interesting point: security, because
Mhm.
of course it's not long distance. It's of
Mhm.
course, but you still might need to obey certain. I have no idea about the US. Let's be clear on that. Like, what kind of regulations do you need to follow in terms of security that nobody, if you go through the airport, you need to go through that security lane as well. Like, are those things there for air caps, for example, as well? Or how is it? Like, would love
Yeah,
to understand.
let's make a case scenario. Where are you? Which city are you right now?
Austria, Central Europe.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I don't. I wouldn't know the example. I will do an example in US. Let's say I'm speaking to you from Miami. So let's say I want to go. I want to take one of these aircrafts in Miami International Airport. Very busy, congested. Okay, maybe I'm coming from Panama, or maybe I'm coming from South America, stopping in Miami, and then I want to go to Fort Lauderdale. But in order for me, I landed in Miami International Airport instead of Fort Lauderdale Airport. But I actually need to take another flight in Fort Lauderdale Airport, which is 45 miles from Miami International Airport. So I can take a taxi, a normal taxi, or rent a car, go there. But instead, so you just arrived to Miami International Airport. You already did immigration. You are a foreign. You're not an American. You're a foreign person. You present your travel visa, business visa, tourist visa. You're already in and you're already in the country. Now, inside the airport, I will be able to take you through a path to get to our helipad or our vertiport, which is I'm gonna pay for that. And there's heliports anywhere. We're gonna be able to use the same infrastructure that exists, pick the passenger up, take it in less than 15 minutes, go drop him in Fort Lauderdale, my international airport. And he can take another international flight if he wants, or move around US. He's already in.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I was more now on that point of view where you have, you know, I assume there are a lot of helipads that are not attached to an airport. That's where my
Right.
thought was, right? But thinking about that, of course, helicopters are allowed to fly too, right? So there has to still there to be some kind of infrastructure. Absolutely makes sense. Um, just thinking about, let's go a little bit more technical. Um, Electric vehicles have a different set of challenges than regular, fossil fueled vehicles. Like, what would you say are the biggest or most impactful differences when designing a eVTOL versus a regular traditional aircraft?
So let's start with the positive things. We don't generate any carbon. We go faster. We go in almost the same or better luxury because there's no noise in the cabin. We can land in certain places that helicopters are not allowed because of the amount of noise and the fumes that they produce. So we're provide the same service, but even better because we will be able to land in different places. Like I can use the ceilings, not the roofs of certain places, like a big Walmart, a big Target, a Whole Foods. I already have the parking, and they will be happy for me to drop people because they will have to go through the supermarket before they go and take their car. So these strategies will work very well. Our aircraft is only 1,200 kilograms. It can carry three people. Is super low cost. Well, for us, our cost of operation per hour is $114. That's including the salary of the pilot, energy cost. Uh, the
Wow.
other thing, helicopters. Yeah, most of the, let's say you and I, we go and rent a helicopter. It's gonna cost us $600 to go for 1 hour of flight. But so we split it. We do that. Almost 50% of that amount that we pay goes to maintenance provision for the helicopter. But on us, I mean, how much maintenance do you do on a Tesla? I mean, you open that, and what are you gonna do with the car? Even if you're an expert, what are you gonna clean? What are you gonna service? There's no oil. There's no hydro. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's very low maintenance, less parts that are gonna fail. The reliability goes to the roof, lower cost. What is not to like?
The biggest, so before I jump to the next one, that's really interesting. And just wondering from a design perspective, right?
Mhm.
Because in terms of physics and these kind of things, like what different design decisions did you have to make this as efficient as it is now, for example?
Yeah, we will, as in anything in all technology developments, we want to be first to market. Yeah, we want to have the advantage to hit the market first than anybody else. So since what we got is the propulsion system, and that's the most important thing we got, we call it SMAPAT, cold jet propulsion system. We need to use a platform, an aircraft, so fixed wing aircraft. We can use a helicopter. We can use, so helicopters are not compatible with our propulsion system, but gyrocopters are. We didn't invent gyrocopters. They were designed by Mr. de la Cierva from Spain in 1914. So many years ago. And those aircrafts, you can get certified right now. You go to Austria, by the way, you're right there. You can fly gyrocopters. I don't know if you have seen some of those. Look like a helicopter, they're a little
Mm-hmm.
bit lighter. They've been working for so many years. They've been certified for so many years. So while our competitors on the eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles market, they're not able to get certified right now because there's no regulation that they can go and follow. But for gyrocopters,
Mm-hmm.
exist. So it would be way easier for us to go and certify that gyrocopter with our propulsion system. And that's what we got. Very
Interesting.
strategic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, Speaking of your low cost, right? You said even the pilot is already included in that.
Mhm.
Um, how are you able to keep those costs that low? Because I can imagine are those real fully educated pilots, or is it more like you educate them, like as you have written on your website, and basically everyone can simply take that course, and it's so easy to navigate that you don't need to go through college, like doing all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's two faults in here. Number one, their cost to produce the aircraft is less than $250,000 in the assembly line. So that lowers the cost exponentially. Now the operations, well, the less maintenance, very low cost. So how we dare to say that we are able to pay $40 per hour to a pilot? Well, they might be thinking $100, but we're gonna take people, young people like you, that can speak English, that have good sight. We're gonna train it. We're gonna pay for their course, number one. If you
That's
try to be a
smart.
pilot today, it's gonna cost you around $13,000 just to have a private pilot license. So you go first a sport license, then you go private pilot, and then you go commercial. So with the commercial, you're gonna need few more hours than the 70 hours that you're gonna use as a private pilot. So we're gonna pay for that. Why? Because our cost of operation is so low,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to burn hours. We need to show the Civil Aviation Authority, EASA or FAA or Canadian Civil Aviation Authority, hey, we flew 700 hours, no problems. Or we found this or we found that and we corrected in this way. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a path to get through the commercial. So the commercial is the time that I'm going to be able to charge you for a service.
Okay. That's actually now what I'm thinking of from a business perspective. It could be really interesting, and I wonder if you're thinking about this or considering this. Uh, do you plan to make a franchise out of that, or is it more like you want to own them all and scale it that way?
So different layers. So we are the technical guys that are gonna, or people that are gonna make this technology broad. Yeah. So technology is one part. The other part will be the industrialization, which is where we assemble the aircrafts, and then the commercialization. We honestly, we're not gonna have time for the commercialization. We're gonna be very involved on the initial part of the infrastructure to assemble. But once that machine is operational, that's it. The quality management system will take over, the safety management system will take over, and that will take care of itself. That will somebody else will take care of. Of
Okay,
course, we're going to be
gotcha.
very much involved in the first ones. But when that works, when we have all the processes and procedures for the infrastructure, we can just copy, paste it, and implement it in different parts of the world. So we're going to be like the Renault 4 from France. So we're going to be like Cinquecento from Italy, that everybody is a everyone's aircraft.
Uh, yeah, okay. Um, Quick intermission. If I could ask you for one single favor, it would be that you hit subscribe onto this channel because it helps our channel more than you can imagine. And the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. So thank you very much for watching, and let's continue with the episode. Let me think. Just what I'm missing here a little bit is like you have that super awesome electric vehicle basically, but I is there in entrepreneurship, especially when building technical solutions, it's never linear. It's always huge ups, huge downs, all that struggle that comes along with it. And I just that's usually what's really interesting. Like, what were some of your downs? Like that you overcame, of course, right? Because you're now where you are. But what were some surprising challenges that you faced along the way? Be it about licensing, the business model, the technical side of things, whatever. I just would love to get a little bit under the hood, if that's possible.
Got it, got it. So all the challenges. Let me tell you something. We already spent 26,000 engineering and design hours. We already did all the testing of the aerodynamics and fluid dynamics. So we know this is gonna fly. But we are aeronautical engineers. Yeah, we know this thing, and maybe not. It's not everybody's cookie that this is gonna work, because unless they see it, they will believe it. But since we already make it work in a scale model, an aircraft this size, it flew at 60 miles per hour. We already know it's going to work. So all the challenges, of course, we got a lot, yeah, but we solved them during the process. We solved, for example, the batteries. What happens if the batteries explode? They're externally ventilated, so even if they explode, there's no fumes in the cabin. Fine, they're independent. One can burn, the one beside it won't. So all these things, the one problem that we need to think, do we find a solution? That's what engineers do, solve problems.
Love it.
um, the physics are solved, the patent has been granted, mathematics, physics, that's done. The challenge we're going to have on the assembly, so the way this works is we're going to produce a full size first model of the propulsion system, and we're going to find problems. Let's say we're gonna come out with 100 points that we need to improve. We do the second version of the model, and then we're gonna find a few. Once we have the third one, we should have all the problems solved, and that's the one that gets certified. The same process we're gonna do with the aircraft, but that's how it works. So, are we gonna have problems? Yes. Do we count with those problems? Yes. Are we gonna have the money and the time to solve the problems? Are we gonna have the team for that? Those are my problems. That's gonna
Of
be
course, that's part of business,
how.
right? I've no doubt that you solved all those problems. I just was more curious about like what were one of the biggest challenges that you have already solved. Like, for example, when you talked about the battery, that's interesting. Those are engineering problems that your company has solved, your team has solved, and of course, I understand that you don't want to share everything now. It's completely fine, right? It's a first mover advantage, it's patented, and all these kind of things. But what was that moment where you thought, oh man, I don't know how we are going to fix this, and then you fixed it. Like, uh, what was that moment? Was there one?
Let's talk about a little bit on the business side.
Okay.
So we were married with a two passenger because we want to train people affordably. But when we realize, look, it's only two passenger, and if we want to sell the services, then we need to recertify a brand new aircraft. No, no, no. Let's go straight with a three passenger, one pilot. Also, so that was the moment that we need to make this affordable for the people, but as well we need to be a profitable company. This is needs to be make a lot of money because the investors are looking for returns. And in that way, we solve many other problems, and we come up with some versions for not even passengers, but just an emergency services ambulance. So it's two beds, one pilot, one medical aerial vehicle, aerial medic, fire department. We solve things like how are we going to land in snow in very cold weather operations? So we need to put skis.
Skis, like, okay.
Yeah, so maybe when you go,
Like,
I'll show you one. This is a red aircraft that we did for very cold weather operations in Canada. So these kind of things are now how we're gonna open the doors if they're frozen. And
I
so our
see.
doors are gonna open upwards, because it
Uh,
makes more sense to for emergency services to carry people from the bottom up. Um,
Interesting.
so what? Let me think about another problem.
Oh,
And oh, so we got a big problem in the cabin. So it's a gigantic cylinder in the middle of the two passengers. So it takes space, but that's the propulsion system. It's not that we can get rid of it. So we use it, but there's enough space for two passengers on each side, but we use it for comfort. So we're going to be able to put some luxurious things, and it creates a nice feeling in the environment inside. All the materials are top notch. And that is something that is not ideal, but we have to deal with. We have to live with that.
sure, that's part of
And
the game, right? Every engine has its drawbacks and upsides. That's normal. Yeah.
right. And that's it. I think that will be a good answer for your question.
Like, speaking of those doors and the skis,
Mhm.
I could imagine that, and you mentioned it already anyway, already, that it could be really interesting for emergency services, right? When
Mhm.
someone is in the mountains, has an accident, these kind of things, right? Because a huge helicopter usually definitely can't land, right? Then you have
Mhm.
this. I was an ambulance man and
The
a
hoist.
fireman. Like, yeah, you have all that equipment, right? But with your solution, it of course depends, right? If you can fit a human in laid down in your vehicle,
Mhm.
but if that's possible, that could be a really, I don't know, interesting use case as well to save lives. Or am I wrong?
Definitely, definitely. Emergency services look for solutions. For example, where we're gonna put the camera to find the thermal camera. So to find humans or animals as well that they're underneath the snow. So how to geolocate that? How to send other emergency services? How to save their lives? In very cold weather operation is very tricky because helicopters, whenever there's more than, let's say, 20 kilometers of winds, you will be reluctant to go to that area or to that shape of the mountain. But with gyrocopters, the more wind you have, the better the aircraft flies. So as an example, if we are in an airport, we have a small fixed wing aircraft, we have a small helicopter, we have our aircraft, we have a big business jet. For 20 kilometers winds, three of them, they're not going to be able to fly. On us, 30 kilometers wind, 40 kilometers wind, which is kind of almost hurricane wind. We can take off and go do our mission. So the extreme weather is a real extreme weather. So we're able to add value there.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, when are they available on the market? Like, when are you flying around in the US? Do you have a
in the
plan for that?
US. So we're gonna be looking forward to have two hubs, one in the US and another one in Montreal, Canada. That's the plan for 2024.
Okay.
We're expecting some funds from a couple of investors. With that, we're gonna be able to realize that the US government we're gonna get some government contracts for research. Um, with that, I will say July, we should be able to show the world the full size propulsion system. Give me 6 more months, so 12 months from now. December, we're gonna be show the full size aircraft.
Okay. Exciting. Exciting. Yeah. Cool stuff. Well, if I have one last question for you. So,
Sure.
are there three things that you would like people to remember from this cool episode? Like, could be around your, like, why electric vehicles are superior, or why you should consider using them, or general things you just want to leave here, whatever.
Um, One thing is that I would like to encourage people to become entrepreneurs. Innovation technology is what changed the world.
True.
And I believe that is a way to solve the biggest problems in the world today. The second thing is that we're a startup. Nobody know who we are, and we very much appreciate what you're doing for us. Um, we we need to get more eyes on us. We need to let the world know that we exist, and there's gonna be a solution feasible, that is profitable in the very near future, that is certifiable. Supporting social media help a lot with investors, help a lot with traction, help a lot because we're going to be in a market where huge companies in billions of valuation are going to be, and we are just a small startup with 14 engineers uh, working very hard with not enough resources. And that's why it took us so long to make this happen, because we didn't have all the millions that other big manufacturers had. So your support is very much important and very much appreciated.
And you made it. That's the even cooler thing, about all of that. Despite, you know, as you said, limited resources. That's a startup life, and we did it. That's cool. And just one last thing that I remember from a podcast, I think with Lex Friedman and Elon Musk, where
Mhm.
he asked if Elon also wants to start with electric aircraft as well. And he said, I'm thinking a lot about that stuff, but my brain would explode, right now. So I think you're safe in that regard as well. So all the best, mate. Was a pleasure talking with you. Super cool stuff. And yeah,
Kevin, thank you so much for this. Really appreciate this. Thank you for your support and all the amazing questions you did. Thank you for your to share this with your community. We're very grateful. Thank you so much.
hi everyone, I hope you liked the episode. So if you liked it, please do me one single favor, hit the subscribe button or engage with this post, like, commenting, everything helps, because the more engagement we get, the more subscribers we have, the better and the bigger the guests will become. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, Ernesto, I think, is quite happy with this episode. So am I, and yeah, if you have any feedback for us, let us know. We're always up for improvement, and yeah.
Wavect, the web-free software company that understands what you want.